All right, let's continue from the previous one. Um, this is lesson number 4, but we are focusing on the equations. Like, definitely, there are equations within arithmetic and there are equations within geometric. Basically, under sequence and series, there are equations. However, they are not given in a form that we are used to, especially in algebra. So, in this case, they're presented like in a form of like linear programming. Okay, where we are given a statement or a data like this, which we have to convert it into equations. Now, let's look at the values. The most important part here, we are having, let's say the fourth term of an arithmetic sequence is 14 and the 16th term is 50. Calculate the 15th term. So basically, they can ask any question apart from the one that they're asking here. They can ask any question. So, like, expect the unexpected. Just master how to convert what you are given into equations. So, this is what you're going to deal with. Now, let's highlight what we see. They say the fourth term, that's T4, and is equals to 14. Then we've got another one, which is if we proceed, they say 16 term is equals to 50. So this is T16 is 50. So there are two equations definitely. So let's take this and plug it in the equation form. So I will say always when I'm dealing with equation and arithmetic, we have to consult our general formula. We have to use it. So for instance, this is my formula. So I'm going to use this to create the first one. Remember, the first one says T4. That means I put 4. Where there is n, you can see this 4 is in a position of n according to the formula. What is the value of a? It's unknown. The value of n, obviously, it was 4. So if I put, say, 4 minus 1, it's going to be 3. D. Obviously, I don't have a D. I'm creating the first equation. Definitely having two equations, I'm going to use Applies-Martinez equation method. Now that it was said that T4 is 14. So where is T4 now? I'm going to put a 14. Now we can label that as this is a complete equation. We say this is equation number 1. I'll do the same. Let me do the same just this side. Following the same equation, formula, to create the second equation. Now, I'm focusing on this part, the red one. They say 16 term, that is term number 16, is 50. So I'll say where there is n, let's put 16. What is a is unknown. Here we know it's going to be 16, but what is 16 minus 1? That's 50, and that's 15 multiplied by d, because d is unknown, so I'm having that. Now, because it was said that T16 is actually 50, so where we see T16, we put 50. So I'll have 50 there is equivalent to A plus 15D. Now, that is our second equation. My understanding, if a learner managed to take whatever thought we are given and be able to get this, then you are winning. Already you accumulated some marks here. So whatever that is left, we still apply what you've learned in the previous grade, simultaneous equation. Because in this equation, I've got A, D, but I don't know any of this. I don't know the value of A, I don't know the value of D. So I can use these two equations to get the value of A and D. Now, let me come this side. Let me write them here. The first one was 14 equals to A plus 3D. The second one was 50 equals to A plus 15D. It's up to a learner. Which simultaneous equation method are you applying? We've got elimination method and substitution method. But either one of the two, the answer will still be the same. But in this case, since you're talking arithmetic, we have the easiest way, which tend to be elimination method. When we eliminate, I observe closely that if A subtract A or cancel A has been limited, I'll remain with D. It makes things easier for me. So a way to work on the elimination, we can say, let equation, now this is your personal choice. Instead of say equation number 1 minus equation number 2, or vice versa, equation 2 minus equation 1. So, but my choice will be based on let the bigger one subtract the smaller one. So by looking at the two, equation 2 seems to be like, if you check the, apart from the coefficient of A's, look at the constant. 50 is bigger than 14. So it's much better when I say 50 minus 14. Also, when it comes to the D's, 15D minus is much better than, but I know a learner can still say 14 minus. We are going to experience negative answers, and we know most learners, they are having a challenge when it comes to operation, especially when negative sign is involved. So now, I prefer to say equation 2 minus equation 1. Basically, I'll say 50 minus 14. Then I know that's going to be a 36. Is equals to A, I can put this here, A minus A, like it's a 0, doesn't exist anymore. And then again here, I can say 15 minus a 3. That's going to be 12D. So remember, this is nothing. So basically, I have 36 equals to 12D. Now, because I'm looking for D, then I'll divide both sides by 12. So 12 into 36 is 3 times. Now we already have our D, but we haven't answered their question. They were looking for T15, but I'll never find T15 until I find D and A. So now that I've got D, how to find the value of A? I can take this D back to one of these equations. The choice is yours, whether you want to substitute D to equation 1 or D to equation 2. I always prefer the easiest way. I can say equation 2 seems to be more complex than equation 1. Like those who don't want to use calculators, avoiding big numbers and stuff, we can go for equation 1. That says equation 1 now is 14 equals to A plus 3. Now, instead of D, now I know my D is 3, so I'm going to put 3 there. So we are having something like, A and 9. Let's differentiate that. This is A, this is 9. So this is a way of getting the A value by transposing 9 to the other side. Then we are left with A. Now, when you say 14 minus 9, definitely the answer will be 5. Therefore, I will say A equals to, we said 5. Yes, A equals to 5. Remember, we just got the value of A and D, but the main question was calculate the 15th term. But the most important thing for a learner when you're given this information like this and arithmetic sequence, where you're required to find to have two equations, having two equations, I said they can ask any question. So if you manage to turn this into two equations, definitely the most important thing to answer any question is actually to get the value of A and D. Now let's come to this. What is this? This is basically T15, term number 15. So if they are looking for T15, we're gonna say we are having something like this, where our A is what? Our A came to be 5. It happened to be 5. And then we're going to say our D was 3. Now, from there that you can just get your final answer without any problem. So in this case, we now know that term number 15 will be 47. We answered the question. However, I said this is not of important. The question itself is not important in this matter. What's important is to take all this information and present in this form. This is the key. Because a learner can collect all the marks here, even if you can make mistake. This is towards the end, but that is not the aim, to make mistake. All right, so we're gonna do the second one. As you can see, I don't have enough space. Let's make sure we proceed to the next one. Now, lesson number 5. Which term of the arithmetic sequence, guys, the terms that I'm using here, I'm still doing arithmetic sequence just in a form of abbreviation. Be able to observe and identify that every question, the way they represent a question, it tells you that even a way to find solution is different. However, you're still under the same topic. In this case, they are looking for n. Which term? They are looking for n. Which term? That's us looking for n. And we have a 15. We must find what is d. Obviously, when you say 12 minus 15, so we are getting a negative 3. And there's something obvious about this. The moment they mention that blah, blah, blah is equals to, and they give you this at the end, that is your Tn. So I can now say Tn is what? Is negative 39. So all this I'll just write as what I'm given, what I have. Now, it become more easier and more interesting. Now check. Like I said before, we are always, in most cases, consulting our formulas. You'll be given this formula, but it's a duty as a learner to know when should I use this formula. Now, it's easy because Tn, there is Tn. A, there, it was given. I didn't calculate anything yet. D is there. You can only tell that the only thing that I don't know here on this formula is actually the n. That is what we are looking for. It's exactly what we don't know. So now let's substitute. Where there's Tn, we put negative 39. What is our A? Our A is 15. What is n? We don't know n. So I'll put n minus 1. What is d? D happen to be, remember, this is a multiplication. Now, continuously, some learners, they prefer to say, you know what? Let me simplify my right by transposing 15 to the other side. Now, so we can be able to now to multiply n times negative 3, negative 1 times negative 3. I indicated on the previous video that you can also write this as negative 3 and n minus 1. To avoid mistake, obviously, this means that grade 8, where we're doing monomial and binomial, which now it will be something like this, because negative times negative is positive. So now when I come and plug this here, it's already simplified. I'm having the negative 3n plus 3. Basically, it's n times negative 3. This negative 3 also times then. This is the result. Now we know that from here we celebrate. We know that we can now simplify our left-hand side. We can simplify our left-hand side and transpose that 3 from the right hand side. So all these, they will just give us a negative 54 equals to negative 3 and plus 3. Now negative 54, if we transpose positive 3, is going to be negative 3. That side we're having negative 3n. Now these two, they give us negative 57 equals to negative 3n. So I have to get rid of negative 3 so that this n can be alone. So now you can ask yourself, like, what is 57 divided by 3? So we are getting a 19. That means n equals to 19. This is what they want here. So let's move to lesson number 6. Like I said, I'm going to do or touch everything arithmetic. So far, we are still dealing with the sequence and everything within, but we are still going to move on to the series as well. So make sure you watch the video till the end so that you don't miss any important lesson. Don't skip anything. Now, lesson number 6, based on general term. Remember, a general term can be, they can use any letter. Like it is known by many learners, basically, that general term, they like to use n. But bear in mind that it's not always the case. Like here, they say the k term, they decided not to use n, but instead they use k. So, and then you are given, there is a general term that they just gave you. It's not like I have to go back to this, blah, blah. No. But if you check what you are having, this k plus n, the k represents the n. The d, according to this, can be 6. The 27 and can represent the a. Like, this is the nature of the original general formula. However, we are talking general term. So let's just use what is given. We don't have to create something. However, they know that after doing so, you can find anything that they may want. So now the question is based on determine the common difference. After the common difference, now determine the 20th term. This is where they are looking for D. They are looking for T20. This is actually the questions in short. Now, let's work on this. We say TK, like they said, the kth term. That means here we put K because they decided to go with K. Obviously, a different textbook use different letters. Even teachers, they will use different letters. A learner should just be aware that it's not always what they're used to. But if you practice a lot, you'll be exposed to all this kind of method and presentation. Now, I'll have this. I'm taking what I'm given here. I'll never find the difference if I don't know the first 2 or 3 sequence. We know that the first 3 sequence or 2 sequence, I'll be able to get the A, I'll be able to get the D. But now, they don't talk about finding the value of A, they need D. But definitely, I can use what I have to create first term and second term. And once I get the first 2 terms, I'll say term number 2 minus term number 1. That gives me the D. So give yourself the first value. Let K be 1. You are actually saying T1. We are trying to get T1 using the given formula. So this is going to be 27 minus, obviously, I will have what? 1 plus 1, which will be 2. Therefore, you'll be getting 27 minus 12. So obviously, 27 minus 12, we put, it will be 15. It will be 15. It makes the first term to be a 15. And being the first term of 15, that tells us that A is 15, but we are not interested on that. If I have to show indicate to you that now, according to the sequence, I have 15. I need the second one. So I can say now my D equals to T2 minus T1. So I need to find another term. How to find another term? I don't just find any term. I use the one for first term. I'm going to use the same formula or equation just to say now I'm looking for the second one. I put 2. Where there is k, we put 2. So 27 minus 6, and then this time is 2 plus 1. Then I'm getting, this is 3, and we know that this will be 18. And to get to say 27 minus 18, okay, that's going to be 9. I think that's going to be 9. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I might see this after, but that's 9. So it means my second term is 9. We are having T1, we are having T2. So with this, now I can say, what is the second term? It's 9. Minus what is the first term? It's 15. This will answer what they ask here. So now, what is 9 minus 15? 9 minus 15 will be negative 6. You answer the first one. You and we know we can answer anything as long as we've got the A. We've got the A and the D. So coming to this one, I don't have to worry much. I'm still using what I'm given there. That one of K. So this time K is 20. Remember, don't go there because now they decided to use what they gave you. Now this is 27 there minus 6 open bracket. My K is now 20. My K is 20. So I'm putting 20 there plus 1, just following the formula. So definitely I'm having a 21. Then what is 6 by 21? 6 by 21. Let's work on that quickly. 6 by 21, avoiding a mistake. Remember, I'm not being tested here, but I have to make sure answers are very accurate. So it gives us 126. Now, what is 126? What is 27 minus 126? We'll just work on it. So since 27 is smaller, we are going to experience a negative answer of negative 1. A negative 99. So we answered this question. Now, T20 is what? Is negative 99. Negative 99. That was lesson number 6. Like I said, we are going to accommodate everything under arithmetic sequence. So far, we haven't touched the series yet. Let's proceed to lesson number 7. All right, now let's proceed with lesson number 7. Now, this is where now we are moving from sequence to series. We are actually doing series under lesson number 7. Bear in mind that when you're talking about series, as you can see, the SN, these are two formulas that I can say this one or that one. Be able to know when I'm using each of these formulas. But let's see. The first one, let's say this is the first one, this is the second formula. We use the second only if we are given the last term on our series. If you look at the series of 3 plus 8 plus 13, we don't have that one last term, which is always written on the far right. It's not there. If it was there, we are going to use this formula, but it's not there. We are forced to use that formula, SN. What does this mean? the n alone number of terms. If we know n, we're going to substitute n everywhere, and then obviously a and d that are of importance, like I mentioned on the sequence, the previous lesson number 6, going to the first one. So now determine the sum. That is the key way. This is why you know that you are actually talking as n. Determine the sum of the first 30 terms. Now this one alone, it's n. Where there is n, this we put 30. So if you check, there I can put 30, I can put 30, I can put 30. What is it that I don't know according to this formula? It's only A and D. And we did talk about it, right? So now, everyone by now should know that if I'm writing what I'm given, I'll say for the fact that I have my A, which is 3. And what is my D? 8 minus 3. That gives us a 5. What is my N? It's 30. But what is the sum of the first 30 terms? I don't know. I don't know. So I don't know what is S30. Always carefully check what you have in order to check what is it that you don't have. What is missing is basically what they're going to ask you straight. Whatever you don't have, it's what they're going to ask you. Now, selecting that formula, Sn equals to n over 2, 2a, n minus 1, and the d for difference. Now, look what we have here. We just substitute. What I like about these kind of problems, select the correct formula, looking at the given data together with the question that they're asking, indicate what you are given eventually. Now, it's a walk in the park. And we set n is 30. So I don't know what is the sum of the first 30 terms. Remember, I only have 3 terms. Term number 1, term number 2, term number 3. Sn means the sum of all series, the sum of series. Since they mentioned that 30 of them, we only have 3. There's 4, 5, 6, up to 30. So now we know term number 1 is 3. 2 is 8. So if they were saying the sum of the first 3, I'm going to add all this manually, so without even using a formula. But even if you use a formula, the answer will still be the same. So now, let's come here and indicate that our n there is 30. Now, our a is given as 3. Our n, again, we said n is 30. So obviously, we can just say 30 minus 1. That's going to be 29. But let's just substitute directly. Our d is 5. So I'm going to put a 5 there. Then let me now close it. When you simplify, that's 15. That's 6. That's 29 times this 5. Most learners, what they do, they just punch a calculator and give us the final answer. But I always say there's a marking guideline that the markers follow, which there might be some steps that you skipped, and those steps, they're worth a mark. And then they're not going to be nice or kind to you. Never. So we are having 151. Let me write it nicely. 151. You multiply this, you add that, you are getting a 151. And then basically, when you multiply everything now together, then you are getting 2665. 2665. 2665. The sum of the first 30 term series, they give you 2665. Yes, obviously, if you keep on adding the difference to get the next term, until all these terms are 30, manually, so you can also check to say, okay, 3 plus 8 plus 13 plus whatever here, until manually, if you add them up to 30 of them, they'll give you 2,665. But formulas are meant for that. Something that is of like is huge, 30 terms manually is time consuming. Not that you cannot get the correct answer, but obviously it's time consuming. And so we have to use formulas. Now we have to go to lesson number 7. Let's look at lesson number 7, how it is presented and how they ask questions and how to answer them. Now let's proceed with lesson number 8. It is still under series, arithmetic series. Like I said, we're going to touch everything arithmetic on this video. Then there'll be a different or a second video following this that will be based on everything geometric. Now, determine the sum of the following series, just like the previous lesson number 8. The difference between this series and the previous one is that previously we just had the first 3 terms and that's it. Now we've got the first 3 terms and including the last term towards the end, which is this 5. We know what it means. It means we can use formula number 2 because of L means the last term. But I always say, let us be aware that this could be, actually it's not could be. It can be used as Tn, it can be used as L. L, let's say L being the last term. So we can use it in either one of the two. Always depend on the situation that we have, what we have and what we don't have. Now, let's check. What are the obvious things to do? A is 35. What about D? 32 minus 35. We are experiencing a negative there. So it's negative 3. Now, is it enough for me with this to come and plug because I only have my A, which is 35. That D become useless here because there's no D. But the only thing that is there, I notice that there is L, which is 5. So that means Tn can be L and they are both equals to 5. So 5 is the last term. And 5 also can be considered as Tn. So in this case, what exactly is it that we don't have? Based on the formula, we don't have n. So I would like to call this as the indirect question, that they are looking for the sum, meaning use the formula to find whatever, but we don't have n. So it's indirect because we have to find n first. So n is missing. Now, how do we find n? How do we find n? We consult this formula, the previous one. Why specifically this? There's Tn involved. I don't have Tn here, but I see Sn. And that's what they're asking for, Sn. But I don't have Tn. And I have to use Tn to get n. So I'm going to take Tn, this 5, as my Tn. Now this is 5. What is A? At least we have 35. What is n? That's what I'm looking for. What is D? It came out to be negative 3. Now let's do maths. So we do this. Okay, I can say, let me transpose 35 just to simplify things. So n, this one, multiplied by that. So I'm going to have negative 3 and positive 3. This thing, let's repeat itself. We came across something like this on the previous lesson. So now I'm having 5 minus this. That's going to be a 30. It's equivalent to Now transpose 3 again. So we've got negative 30 minus 3 is equivalent to minus 3n. These together, they give us negative 33. Then let's remove that. Now, therefore, we get n equals to 11. Number of 10, now it is 11. Now, I can now answer their question. The sum of the first 11 terms. That's what we didn't have. So it means I'm going to use this formula. Now that I know my n, that's what I was looking for. So my n is 11. We know all along what is our a. We said is 35. We didn't calculate this given. What is my L? The last term, L, is 5. Remember, we said L is 5, even Tn is 5. So we use Tn as 5 because we're looking for n. But it doesn't change the fact that even 5 is still the last term. So now I'm using it as the last term, which is 5. So this gave me a 40. And then 40, 20 to 40 goes 20 times. Then what is 11 times 20? I know that 11 times 2 is 22. Then add that 0. So the sum of the first 11 terms, the sum of the first 11 terms are equivalent to 220. That is lesson number 8 under arithmetic, sequence, and series. Now I'm going to proceed with lesson number 9. All right. Now let's proceed with lesson number 9. If you check lesson number 9, we're still under the series using maybe one of the two formulas depending on the statement given or the question itself. Now, checking on this question, how many terms, that's n, of the series 5, 8, 11 must be added to yield the sum of, that's Sn is 440. Now, like I always say from the previous, let's indicate what we have. Something obvious, A is 5. D is 3, because 8 minus 5 is 3. N is unknown. Sn is 440. All this. Remember, this is not the last term like we have on the previous lesson number 8. This 440 doesn't represent the L. It's actually the Sn altogether. The sum of nth numbers, when you add them together, they give us 440. But we don't know how many terms did they add together to get 440. That's what this means. How many terms? We don't know how many terms were added to get to the sum of 440. So we are looking for n. Consultation. We've got two formulas. Which one are we using? I don't remember me having a last term somewhere. So I go straight to this formula of Sn. If you check, we are forever using formulas. If you use the wrong one. Do we know n? No, we don't know n. Do we know a? Yes. A is 5. Do we know n? No. Do we know d? Yes. D is 3. Do we know Sn? Yes. Sn is 440. Now we can just get rid of 2 by just multiplying with the reciprocal. So I can multiply by 2. Just squeeze that. What you do on the left, you do on the right. We just try to, this is just to simplify things. However, you can apply any method. So this is going to be double of that. So it's going to be 880. This is going to be a 10. Now this times that is going to be a 3n, and this times that is going to be a minus 3. In this case, let us solve what we have inside the bracket. Let's simplify. So 10 minus 3 is going to be 7. Now let's multiply this inside. A monomial and a binomial. N times 7, that's 7n. N times 3, that's 3n squared. Is equivalent to our left-hand side of 880. So we know that if I transpose this 80, I'm going to have a trinomial, a quadratic basically. Let's just say we're going to have a quadratic of 3n squared plus 7n minus 880. We know in this case, learners, the easiest way, especially having huge numbers like 810, for you to find factors of this that will give you 7 as a middle term, blah, blah, you can do that. You are welcome to do that. However, we encourage that since we don't want to waste time in examination, apply this formula. We know most learners, if you feel like it's a challenge for you to factorize any quadratic formula, you can come here. But bear in mind that we are using the variable of n here. So however, this formula was for x. So now make x to become an n. So I can just say no, basically n equals to x to get rid of this x. So you're going to have n equals to minus b. The a's, the b's, and the c's, they don't change because we know that b, for instance, b according to this is 7. um, Let me just say A, B, and C. The coefficient of n squared, which is the same as if it was x squared, is going to be A, which is 3. Coefficient of this is then the constant number is, so it's easy to come back to this one, just substitute. My B is what? Is 7. So I'm going to put a 7 there, plus minus. I said 7, but put a bracket. If not, you're out. Then our A, I'll just say my A is what? Is 3. What is my C? Is negative 800. That is a big number. Negative 880. Then all over my A again, which is 3. Obviously, we're going to have two solutions. The other one will come out as positive. The other one will come out as negative. However, some learners, they can also just go straight and factorize this. Now, what are the factors of 880 that can actually give you a 7? So we know that you are dealing with huge numbers. So you can on your just pause and work on it. But obviously, we've got 55 and 16 minus plus. That's what we have. Now let me double check. It's actually, yes, I switched them around. Yes. So in this case, we know that we're going to get n equals to 16. If you transpose this, remember, we can separate and equate them to 0, meaning this comes from when I say n minus 16 equals to 0. Separately, 3n plus 55 is also equals to 0. So now, only this part, when you transpose 55, going to be negative 55. When you divide by 3, as you can see, this, when you're talking about number of terms, consider natural numbers. We cannot use or take the negative. N should be a natural number. So in this case, we are going to use n equals to 16 and then not this one. So we cannot take this one, no matter how simplify, because of the negative. N should be a natural number. Because if when I say how many terms I'm talking about natural numbers, can be 20 terms, 30 terms. So it should be natural. So it happened that 16 is a natural number. That's how you choose if you're having two solutions when you're using the quadratic or factorization. You're going to get two solutions. That's how you select the correct answer. All right. Lesson number 10, still based on the series, arithmetic series. Like I said, we're going to do anything arithmetic, sequence, and series. We did part of the sequence. Now we're dealing with the series. Now we move from series. Lesson number 10 is based on sigma notation. Expand and hence calculate the sum. They are still looking for the sum. Remember sigma notation and the sum is basically the same thing. When they say find the sum of so many terms, but in other way, we can also use the sigma notation to find the sum of series or vice versa. When they say expand, let's answer this part first. Expand. Let me expand. This is me trying to expand. We take the general term. This is part of the general term basically. So I can say, usually, let me write this here. I'm going to clear it. This is top. This is bottom. But this part here, you're going to, whatever you find here is a general term, usually in bracket. Now, look at what you have. What is the general term? It's 3r plus 4. What is the bottom number? It's where they say r is equivalent to 1, the starting point, the initial point, going upwards to the last term of 12. So 12 obviously represent the top. So we're going to do this. Let's expand first, then we can calculate the sum. So now let me get rid of this. Expansion means take the general term and you can write in a series form, maybe 3 of them. Even if you do 4, it's up to you. So we'll say 3r plus 4. Let me put in brackets so that I'm creating a series, maybe 3 terms. Now, another one is 3r plus 4. Another one is 3r plus 4 plus blah, 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 blah. Then I'm going to use the last one there, which is my space, but it's the same thing. It's 3r plus 4. Yes, you can see, you can zoom in. This is me expanding what I have. I decided to make 1, 2, 3. Why? I can be able to find, remember they are looking for the sum, and just because we are still under series, it means we need to know A, we need to know D. Whether I'm using this formula or that, I still need to know the A and D's. But with the first 3 terms, I'm going to be able to get all that. Now, what does this mean to us? Where there is R, you can put 1. But let's just make the first 3. So since I'm given R, I'm going to start with, I will show you. You don't have to worry. We actually did this today with my kids. So for them, it's a second lesson. Now, instead of R, our initial point or starting point is 1. Where this how we put 1. So I'm putting 1 there. So what comes after 1? Since is 1 going upwards to 12, then I'll say 2. Here obviously is 3. But here is not 3. It's not 3. What will it be? It will be the last term of 12. So I'm going to put a 12 there. So what this means, if the R was 7, just if the R was 7, and then we have to expand, I'll start with 7 for the first term. going to 8 for the next term, and then 9 for the third. We're actually going up, but we don't have to reach 100. If you do so, that means we'll be doing it manually. So imagine first, second, third term, fourth, up until 100. I mean, it can take you, oh, remember, exam are limited. So we are using formulas for such reason. Now let's find those first three terms. 3 times 1 is 3. I'm having 7 plus. This is 6 plus that. I'm having a 10. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus is 9 plus 4. That's going to be a 13. Plus dot 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 dot. Now the last one is 36. I mean, 3 times 12 is 36. 36 plus 4, that's 40. So the last part I'm having a 40. I have to use this since it is the maximum, is the last term. So there is 40. So we have something like this on the previous lesson, maybe lesson number 9 or 8. We have something like this because now we expanded. We are done with the expanded. We put this in expanded notation. It is expanded. Now they say to you, hence now calculate the sum. They are looking for Sn now. Furthermore, they are looking for Sn. Now the question that you may ask, if I'm looking for Sn, basically which Sn can I use? Because I've got two formulas. I'm going to use the second one simply because of that L, which is the last term there. That one of 40. That is the last term that you can use. That one of 40. Now, let's check. What is it that we need? I'll just use this as the formula. Again, what you need to know, we'll forever say A, 7. In terms of given, don't forget, I almost forgot this. A is 7. Even if there's no need to find D, as you can see. But I will say L is 40. Now, what is N? N is missing. I always tell learners that N is not always this number. We have a formula to calculate N. What is that formula? It says N equals to top minus bottom plus 1. I indicated before I delete this part where I indicated. So this is the formula to calculate for N. We're not talking sigma notation. So what is the top number of this sigma notation? Top is 12. What is bottom? The bottom is 1 plus 1. Following the formula, I didn't do anything. No magic. So basically, if I say 12 plus 1, that's 13. Remember, I'm following BODMAS. And 13 minus 1, that's 12. But somebody can just say 1 minus 1. You're still welcome because the answer is 12. So now this is why I say, okay, basically, N is 12. Then I'll say 12. 2. And then my A is 7. That's 7 plus my L. My L is 40. Now we are having, okay, 12 divided by 2. That's going to be 6. Let me just simplify that. And then I'm having a 47. We're winning, guys. Follow this. Make sure you practice thoroughly. Everything. Practice. Don't leave anything. So in this case, the answer is going to be 282. We can double check that. Always pause. Anything that is written here before you can even work on it, make sure that you pause. Don't just wait for solutions. Now, since you are doing sigma notation, lesson number 10, I think we can also work out something. Or should I say now, let's just make sure that we are going to proceed on the next video because now this video is too long on its own. Now, welcome again. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, there's more that you're gonna learn on this channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, share, comment, my good people. Comment is very important. That is just a form of communication between myself and you. And also just let us know, where are you watching this video from? Like I said, this is recorded in South Africa. I thank you.